Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for being here. So let's check the weather, shall we? It is currently -2 degrees Fahrenheit in St. Paul, Minnesota. It is so cold in my house, but what better way to avoid the cold and avoid going outside than to talk about books and film a book haul. So that's what we're doing today. Anyways, let's get started with the books that I have recently received / purchased. I am so happy because if you were sitting here, you could see the number of books that I received is greater than the number of books that I purchased myself. Not by a lot, granted, but at least it's more. One of my goals in 2023 is to cut down on the books that I purchase and to instead borrow from libraries or to buy books on my Kindle so that I do not physically obtain more books because I have no more room for books, and also clutter makes me very anxious. So I actually thought it would be fun to show you what I got on my Kindle, the books that I bought on Kindle, because I've just been reading so much from my e-reader, which is my iPad. I do have a Kindle Paperwhite, but I normally don't really like reading from that because it's so tiny and I love like the big pages of the iPad. So some books I recently purchased is I got The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea by Axie. We read that for my January book club pick and it was so good. It's like a Korean mythology inspired, Studio Ghibli inspired fantasy, and it's just so good. I love it so much, and honestly it's one of those books that like I'll be recommending for like years, and it's got a beautiful cover. I don't know. Am I gonna buy it in hardcover? I might. Who knows? I might. I will update you if I actually do. But I really enjoyed it, and for me, a part of buying books on Kindle is if I really enjoyed it, you know, that gives me intrinsic motivation to purchase like a physical copy to have it as more of a memento rather than to just buy a bunch of physical books that I don't end up reading because I receive a lot of the books. So that's just my goal this new year, and I feel like I'm doing pretty good. Oh, I'm sweating now. I've also got my iced coffee here because no matter how cold it is, I will still be drinking iced coffee. It doesn't matter if my boogers are freezing, I will literally still order iced coffee. The next book that I purchased is The World We Make by N.K. Jemisin. This is a book that I want to read this month in February. It is the sequel to The City We Became. I love that book. It's basically, the premise is the 5 boroughs of New York all have like souls, and like every city has a soul, but for New York City it has 5 souls because there's 5 boroughs, and I love that. It's just such a cool premise. N.K. Jemisin is a masterful storyteller, so if you haven't read that book you should, because the sequel came out and I'm excited to read the sequel this month, so that's what I got. And then the last book that I bought on Kindle is Wicked Villains, the sequel to Ruthless Villains. Is it Ruthless Villains? I think so, I don't know, but oh yeah, it is Ruthless Villains book 2, and this is a spicy TikTok fantasy book, and honestly guys, it is so good. I'm reading it for a vlog, which I don't know when that will come out, either before or after this video, but I'm just excited to read the sequel. Okay, and now on to the physical books that I purchased. So I was doing some New York book shopping and I bought 2 books. I actually don't remember where I got these. I'm definitely sure I got them in an indie bookstore, but I don't remember which one. The first one I got is Joan is Okay by Wang, and this book is, I have no idea what it's about, but I read a book earlier from this author called Chemistry, and I really enjoyed that. I know this one also touches on like a character, like the American dream, that sort of thing. So yeah, about a Chinese American. So I am super excited to read about this very relatable story, and I heard this one is so good. I believe this one, does this one have like awards or stuff? I know this is the first book that the author wrote before Chemistry, so I think. I'm not sure. Anyway, I'm excited to read this book. Okay, I literally should not have picked up this book, but I think I had bookstore credits when I went in. But this I saw on the bookshelves. It's Alone with You in the Ether, a love story by Olivie Blake. If you didn't know, Olivie Blake is the author of The Atlas 6, which is a dark academia, like, you know, competition magic story. I don't really know how to describe it. The writing is really good though. I didn't really like the story, like the plot, but the writing was really good, and I'm excited to read like a different genre from this author. That's like personally one of my things, is to read different stories or genres that an author has written, because I want to see how their writing translates in different genres. So I'm very excited for this one. Don't know what to expect because I actually haven't heard many people talking about this. The Atlas 6 is talked about so much, and the fact that I haven't heard anything about this makes me want to believe that like no one knows about it, or I don't really know. The next book that I have here is The Fortunes of Jaded Women, and this is actually a very rare case. A lot of people recommend me books, you know, as a book content creator, whatever. I get a bunch of recommendations all the time, but I think someone recommended this to me, I think on YouTube, and I don't normally take recommendations, but this is the case of where like I've heard of this book and I've wanted to read it, and I just need to be recommended it like at least 5 times for me to actually get it. So my friend Liv, who also has a booktube channel, I will leave her link in the description down below, but she sold this book on her Pongo, whatever, the book selling app, and I quickly snatched it up because I'm like, this is a sign, this is a sign. So I'm excited to read this one. I heard it is hilarious. I'm hoping to save it for AAPI month so I can have a really great list of AAPI books, and I believe this follows a Vietnamese family, so very excited for this. The next book I have here is Highly Suspicious and Unfairly Cute by Talia Hibbert. This is my first Talia Hibbert book. I'm also reading this currently for a vlog, so you will see that come up sometime. But we are also reading this for my book club called Heartbound Book Club for February, and I'm very excited for this. As always, I'm in a romance kick right now because it is February and I am a mood reader, so we are about to read some great books this month. Okay, this is so embarrassing. I feel like this book haunts me just like everywhere, like in my dreams, in my nightmares. This book just haunts me like in bookshelves. Anyway, I bought a finished copy of The Priory of the Orange Tree, and you're probably like, Alex, don't you already have one? I have 2 arcs. I have 2 arcs, and they are back home in my library in New York, and every time I go back home, I'm like, I'm gonna read this book, but I never do. So I thought, why not just buy a finished copy, and if I spend my actual money on it, maybe I'll be more intrinsically motivated to read it. That still has not been the case because I bought this a few weeks ago, but regardless, I am excited to have a finished copy in my hands, and I honestly really like the finished copy more than the arc because it has embossing, like you can feel the raised text or whatever. So hopefully I will be using this to read in a reading vlog. I don't know, we'll see. Again, this book has been one of those books where it's just like, I just need to read it and my life will be changed and everything will be fine, because it's one of those books that I keep saying I'm gonna read, but don't read. Okay, and moving on to the books that I received from publishers and authors. The first 2 I have here are my Book of the Month picks for January. I worked with Book of the Month on a video last month, if you guys didn't see, and they sent me some good picks. So we got Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo. I'm scared to dive into this one, honestly, and it's mainly because I remember nothing from the first book. Can't even remember what the first book's called. No, it's called Ninth House. There we go. Ninth House. Can't remember anything that happened in Ninth House, so I'm kind of scared to go into this one because I'm like, do I really have to reread the first book? That's normally the case when it comes to my terrible memory, but regardless, I'm excited to read this. The next book that I picked from Book of the Month is Lunar Love. This was so good. I finished this in January when doing like a reading vlog. I posted like a Lunar New Year reading vlog and I read this book for that video. You should definitely check this out. This is a great book that talks about tradition versus modernity, talks about family, intergenerational trauma, and matchmaking and relationships. It's just all around a well-rounded book about love, loss, and relationships, and how we have different views in relationships. And I really appreciated it and related to it as a Chinese American. So if you're into any of that stuff, you will enjoy this book, and it's a romance, so super easy to digest. Speaking of romance, I was sent this romance book from Scholastic, and it looks like a YA, so I am interested. interested to see how it is. It's been a while since I've read a YA romance, but this one is This Time Is For Real. It's got a cute little cover though. It kind of reminds me of another cover. I'll leave a picture of it if I can find it. But this one follows, it says, "Can you fall in love for real with the whole world watching?" Whoa. Oh, okay, so she meets like a famous actor. That's quite interesting. I love like the whole marketing of this book. The package that we got for this book was really, really cute. It was filled with like a bunch of like little props and little things that related to the book. And to be honest, that sometimes is enough to make me pick up a book, is when I see the marketing and I'm just like, wow, this is really cool. It's really cool storytelling. So I will keep you guys updated on this one. The next book I have here is a middle grade book, and it is from Stacey Leigh. Honestly, Stacey Leigh, I've only read one book from Stacey Leigh, but I love that book. This one is called Winston Chu versus the Whimsies, and it's a middle grade fantasy book based on Chinese folklore, and it's a book that follows a boy, and he saves this store owner from being robbed, and this store owner owns like an oddities shop in Chinatown. It takes place in San Francisco, I believe. And the store owner tells him that he can choose anything from his shop, and Winston ends up with a dustpan and a broom, I believe, but he doesn't know that it's cursed. And it's just a fun, whimsical little story. I really love the playful like title of this book and the cover. It's just so playful and definitely like what I would love out of a middle grade novel. It's not currently in my demographic, but I do want to share it if you have people in your life that you think could read it. It sounds like a really fun novel, and I did read a little bit of it, and there was boba mentioned, and I was so excited because I barely see boba mentioned in any book. So if you are interested in this book, I will leave all links to these titles in the description box. This next one I received in the mail, and it is You Know Her. This is a very interesting title. It says in the back, a fierce, funny, gonzo feminist thriller that will be the talk of the genre. If you read one thriller this year, read this one. That is very intriguing. This one looks interesting. I don't know much about it, but again, I will leave all links in the description box for you. Ooh, I really like this description of it. It says, Killing Eve meets my sister the serial killer in this lush, savage, southern gothic about two women, a fledgling murderer, and the cop hell-bent on catching her. The next book I actually won in an Instagram giveaway from Oprah's book club, which is just like, I never win giveaways. I literally never win giveaways, and the fact that I won this giveaway and it came with like a little tiny like frying pan, I don't know what it has to do with the book yet, but this one is Demon Copperhead by Barbara Kingsolver, and I loved Flight Behavior by Barbara Kingsolver. It's like still one of my all-time favorite books, like just the book that like I carry through with me in life. So I'm excited to read this one. It's so long though. It's like 500 pages. I know that I'm like, that's so long, and like some of y'all are like, it's not that long, but it's really cool because in the marketing for it, they gave me like a box, and they gave me the recipe to like the cornbread that I think is made in this book. So that's so exciting, and I'm so excited to read this. This says, a masterpiece of contemporary American fiction, Demon Copperhead captures the heart as it evokes a young hero's unforgettable journey to maturity in the mountains of southern Appalachia. Very interesting, very, very interesting. Again, this one was chosen, I think, for Oprah's book club, which is why they did a giveaway, but I'm very lucky to have received it. Okay, now this one I am super intrigued by. It is Biography of X by Catherine Lacey. This one is so interesting. I really love this cover. I don't know why. It kind of looks like a textbook or some like biography book. It says, pulsing with suspense and intellect while blending nonfiction and fiction, Biography of X is a roaring epic that plumbs the depths of grief, art, and love. In her most ambitious novel yet, Catherine Lacey, one of our most acclaimed literary innovators, pushes her craft to its highest level, introducing us to an unforgettable character who, in her tantalizing mystery, shows us the fallibility of the stories we craft for ourselves. That's very interesting. I love when these publishing companies write these little like taglines and they don't reveal anything about the book. Like, I don't want a movie trailer that reveals everything that's happening in the book. I love when it's just like a overview. It's like multimedia. There's like pictures and like different formats, and oh my god, that is so cool. I'm excited to read this. I love multimedia format books, so I am going to investigate this one. The next book we have here is A Ruinous Fate by Kaylie Smith. This looks like it's YA. This looks like it's YA fantasy, but I just popped open the book and look at this gorgeous, oh my god, do you see this? Do you see all this like green stuff on the cover? So I'm grateful for the package that I received for this, but the package was filled with like moss. I think probably because of the marketing of the book, and the moss got everywhere. Like I still see the moss sometimes in my bed because I opened it on my bed. But if you can see, look at this beautiful map. This is probably the most detailed like fantasy map I've honestly ever seen in a book. It's gorgeous. Thank you so much, Hyperion, for sending me this title. And the final book that I have here is sent to me by Little Brown, and it is The Sense of Wonder. This copy was unfortunately bent in the mail. It was so sad. I opened the book and it was all bent up, and I had to kind of iron it out, but I think it's fine now. The author is a finalist for the PEN/Faulkner Award for Fiction. That is a good sign. From the author of PEN/Faulkner finalists, Disappear, Doppelganger, Disappear, and Craft in the Real World comes a searing masterwork on the ways Asian Americans navigate the thorny worlds of sports and entertainment when everything is stacked against them. Oh my god. Again, my middle name. I love reading books about like Asian American representation in like America and how they are like navigating everything. This one is, I believe it talks about sports because yeah, it does like kind of navigate the sports and entertainment world, which is very interesting. I haven't read many books that like revolve around sports, but again, I'm really open to anything. That's just, I'm a very open-minded reader, so I will keep this one on my radar. So those were all the books that I received / purchased in the last few weeks. You know, after doing this, I'm definitely a lot warmer. I'm like kind of sweating just because when I talk about books and when I film videos, it gets me very heated. So mission accomplished. Thank you so much for joining me. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel for more videos like this, and I will see you guys on my next one. Bye.